A very good afternoon to all of you guys. Hope you guys are doing well. Welcome to yet another virtual learning session for our economics classes conducted for the 2024 advanced level batch. So today, now last week we started we did the class during morning hours, which was not our scheduled time. Today we are doing the classes or we are having this session in the afternoon, but still it is a bit early than our scheduled time. I think you guys understand why from one week to the other that I'm having to change the schedule time a bit. Yes, because of the power cut, the rolling or ongoing power cuts that we have. So if I start at 4, but I will not be able to complete the class by 6, because before that, according to the schedule given by the CEB, in my area, I will be losing electricity or the power. So therefore, we are starting a bit early than 4. And hopefully around 5 o'clock or 5:15 or so, we'll say around 5, we should be able to conclude the session. Right. So hopefully all of you guys stay updated via the WhatsApp group relevant for your batch, the Friday full-time virtual batch. So in that, we updated you guys, or through the WhatsApp group, we updated you guys last night, I think, about the schedule. And today in the morning, we had another reminder. Also, we have given the class link in the WhatsApp group. Yes, right. And I think most of you guys are now very familiar. Most of you guys are now very familiar with how the virtual classes work, how the links are made available, and how we schedule the classes, right? Again, Puta, just to be clear, the schedule time for your class, right? The timetable we have given is from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. But because of the ongoing power cut situation, I have to adjust the time a bit according to the power cut schedule in the area of my residence, so that I can conduct the classes. And I understand for some of you guys, for some of your friends or classmates, virtual classmates, they might have a power cut during the exact time that we are conducting the classes. So for that purpose, what we do is each session that I'm doing, I will be recording it, and a recorded catch-up version will be made available for you guys via the Mind-Hub website. So last week, we took a bit of time to go into the website and see these things. If any of you guys have any confusion as to how to navigate the Mind-Hub website and find your classes, how to watch the catch-up sessions and things like that, so I can do an explanation. We'll do that. I will try to do that towards the end of the session, Puta, if required. If not, you can get in touch with the coordinator and also get some of this information and guidance that you need to make the best use of a very comprehensive virtual learning platform that we have created, known as the Mind-Hub virtual learning platform. So, and even if you were there during the live session, but since we do classes, Puta, once a week, right? Even if you were there for the live session, if time permits, try to make use of that catch-up option that we give, the recorded version, because it's available for any of you guys to view almost every day of the week. Once we have uploaded the video, almost every day of the week, from morning 5 a.m. until about 10 p.m. at night, during that entire time period, It's available any number of times you can watch. And when you watch it for the second time, just to recap, what we learned, you might not need to watch the entire video. So if anyone missed the class and watching it as a catch-up, then the entire thing you have to watch, right? Otherwise you will miss something. But if you are watching it as a recap, certain areas that you felt you needed to listen to the explanation again, something like that. So that flexibility is also there. So I hope you guys agree. It's a very useful, a very flexible learning resource that we are offering in terms of the catch-up sessions, and us making it available for you to watch almost every day of the week and any number of times. Okay, right. In addition to that, you guys have got the student version of the slides that I'm using, the PDF. So that is also something that you guys will find useful in your learning process as a learning resource. And finally, I hope most of you guys were able to get this done. You are given a hard copy of the study material that we are using, and we will be writing notes, taking down notes, and highlighting certain key areas of the notes that we read from this particular study material. So all of you guys should have this study material with you, and ideally now, since all of you guys sit down for these virtual sessions, right? I've said this many times. Sit down for these virtual sessions and in front of a table. So you have set up your device and you have your study material, a notebook if possible, next to you, right? In addition to the study material. And you have your pens, pencils, rulers, and the highlighters and all the stationery stuff that you require. So because you prepare for it, maybe a bottle of water if necessary, right? And if you have some kind of a hands-free device, make sure that is also paired with your device or plugged into your laptop, smartphone, tab, or whatever the device you're using. So once you set yourself up in a proper way, Putha, we can ensure that we have a very productive virtual learning session. Get it? Even though physically or in person, you and me, or we are not in a classroom, still we can create an environment as much as possible so that the learning is effective. So please, every day, each day, when you sit down, each day, every day, sit down for this class, right? And set yourself up properly so that we will have a very productive learning experience, so that you will not be one of these students who, or you will not be, your parents will not be one of those parents who keep simply saying online, virtual is not effective, online igena ganna baya, that kind of an attitude, Putha, we might not need to have if we take, or if we are proactive, and if we take all the steps we can take to make online learning as effective as possible. You guys are getting everything and a bit more that a physical student is getting. A student who comes of physical classes is getting. Now, for example, a catch-up recording, the physical students might not receive, but you guys get that option as well. In addition to that, you get the study material, the same exact study material the physical students are having, which is also making the experience more tangible, right? And it will make it more productive, more effective. So I think you guys agree with me when I say we can, if we do our part, if we take that proactive approach, proactiveness is there, we can make virtual learning as effective as physical or in-person learning. What do you guys think? Do you agree with me? Yes? No? Are you guys there? Response is key for us to do this effectively, right? Whenever I ask you guys something, quickly respond. Don't wait for the others in the session to, I don't have to respond, I don't have to bother, they will respond. No, your response you have to give. Then only it's effective with them. Are we okay? Yeah. I haven't heard about or heard from most of you guys. Yes, now I'm getting some responses, right? Like in school, I can't every day, right? Like in school, but I can't every day go through a, what do you call, a name list, you know, attendance kind of a thing we can't do, right? You guys have to respond, right? So my intelligent students, shall we then get on with it? Yes, start the learning, right? Few exciting things to learn, important things to learn today as well, like every session. Okay, so we are starting in, can someone tell me what is the page number that we are starting in terms of the virtual session? Yes, where did we stop last week? So in terms of the study material, which page do we need to start with? Excellent. I'm getting 2 pages, page numbers actually. I think, Pata, we completed everything in page 7, correct? Yes. So we have to start. It was a very interesting diagram we did last week in page 7. And I think we have to start in page 8 with learning key 1.4. Yes, right. Learning key 1.4. So for the benefit of anyone who doesn't have the study material as yet, the hard copy, I will share this on the screen quickly, and then I will go to the PowerPoint slides, which we also call, can anyone remember? What do we call the PowerPoint slides? The presentation mode of the PowerPoint slides, what we have a name for it. You know, what do we call it? Anyone who remembers? No? Right, few basic things, good to know. We call it our virtual whiteboard. Okay, right. And so let's quickly have a look at the study material. This is the soft version. You guys are able to collect the hard copy, right? So these are the things we have covered. When I do this, I hope you guys don't feel a bit dizzy because it keeps moving. Right. So we covered this very important circular flow of income expenditure diagram that explains the link between households and businesses mainly through 2 main markets, the product market and the factor market. And in addition to that, we introduced the government into this circular flow. Then we also introduce the financial market, and then we introduce the rest of the world, and then we introduce the foreign exchange market. And through these 4 markets, that is the factor market, product market, financial market, and the foreign exchange market, we learned how these 4 economic agents, that is the households, businesses, government, and the rest of the world, are interconnected, right? How we deal with each other, right? And also through this model, we were able to really understand what is the scope of economics. What do we really learn in economics? And not only that, we realized that this single model, this one model, is able to touch on almost every unit of the advanced level syllabus. We will again talk about the circular flow of income expenditure model in unit 6 of your syllabus, when we start really learning an area of economics, which we will learn today, called, or which we will get an introduction or idea about today, that is macroeconomics. Macroeconomics, right? So, Bata, we completed everything here, right? If anyone was absent last week, right, please make sure you watch the catch-up version, the recorded version 1.2, Introduction to Economics 1.2. It will be there on the website inside in the 2024 virtual classroom. You can find this. There will be a tab or a heading, right? A drop down kind of a thing is there. There you will find catch-up. Recorded catch-up versions are there. Okay, right. So today, in terms of the material, we are starting in page number 8, learning key 1.4, positive normative statements. Right. With that, I'm going to go to the slides and we will start our learning. In terms of the slides also, you will find I have a quick recap. I'm not going to explain anything. I'm just going to run through the slides, right? Go through the slides, right? So in terms of a recap, you remember how we started the discussion to understand what economics is, right? And we realized that it is a process. Economics looks at more than anything how we live in a world of scarcity. And I promised I will not explain, right? In a world of scarcity, and how three activities, that is production, exchange, and consumption, connect all of these things. Then we looked at what do we really learn in economics. We took some time and went through very important areas. And in this particular diagram, or in this particular illustration, we talked a bit about what we are going to learn today, mainly. That is positive economics, normative economics, and micro and macro. We talked about it a bit, right? Then the circular flow model, right? So here we go. Positive and normative economics, right? Now, I used a few things, or a few points last week also when I talked about this a bit. But now, one of the main responsibilities, one of the main social responsibilities, or something that is expected from an economist. Who is an economist? An economist is an economic scientist. Economics is a science. It is a social science. And people who learn, master, and then practice the science of economics. People who learn, master, and practice medical science, we call them doctors or medical doctors, MDs. People who learn, master physics and physical sciences, we sometimes refer to them as physicists. Yes. Similarly, anyone who learns, masters economics, this wonderful, amazing social science, we call them an economist. Of course, you have to do more things than that to become an economist, but we use the word economist. So one of the main social responsibilities, one of the biggest expectations from an economist in the society that that particular economist is living in is, or from the society, the expectation is, an economist will give guidance, advice, guidance and advice to policymakers, guidance and advice to the policymakers. Who are the policymakers? Can someone tell me who these policymakers are in a country? Go on, you can unmute the microphone and answer, right? You can use the group chat option and comment, right? We have to make this a discussion. Who are the policy makers? Okay, the policy makers, or the place or the institution in which we get all the policy makers together is what Netmi and Ayesha, you guys are saying. Yes, that's a place, that is an institution, right? Okay, Akila, you're also correct, right? This is the institution, and the place is what the others have said. Very good. Yes, right. 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 Akila and Akil, right? They're two similar sounding names. Yes. And Majida, Christine. Yes, right. Now you guys are more or less giving the correct answers. Policy makers are simply who we call politicians, right? In Sri Lanka, based on our present structure, these days, these people are very much in the spotlight, right? We have a government with three main components, right? So the government of Sri Lanka, we say, right? Give me a few seconds, right? Okay, now the device is switched on. When we say GOSL, which is government of Sri Lanka, we have three components with that. We have the, right, executive, okay? Then we have the legislative, that is the other part of the government, and then we have what we call the judiciary, right? So these three components of the government, or these are the three parts that we call government of Sri Lanka. So the executive is what we had a lot of focus on, I think day before yesterday or a couple of days back, you know, on the 20th, I think, right? That is the president. That is the executive part of the government. Okay. Then the legislative part of the government is basically where we have 225 very intelligent people that we have appointed and sent to the parliament. So the legislative house is the parliament, place where these things happen. Then the judiciary is basically our courts, the Supreme Court, the High Courts, the appeal, the magistrate, all those different the courts and the legal system is what we call the judiciary. So these are the three parts of Sri Lanka's government. Now, when it comes to these two parties, right, we basically have the policymakers here, right? The policymakers connect through these two parties, right? Because under the leadership of under the head of the cabinet, right? We have a cabinet of ministers, right? So under the leadership of the executive, the president, then also from the parliamentary members, we select a prime minister. So we have the president and the prime minister. Then under these two individuals, we have a cabinet of ministers. The number changes from time to time. So this cabinet of ministers are more or less who we call the policy makers of Sri Lanka. So they are given the responsibility of making policies. And one of the main policy areas that they should focus on, one of the main types of, we'll say, policies they have to focus on, right, would be basically economic policies, right? One of the main types of policies they should focus on is economic policies. They should focus on mainly economic policies, right? Economic policies. There are many different economic policies. Very popular would be monetary policy, fiscal policy. We will learn these things. The monetary policy, unit 7. Fiscal policy, unit 8, right? It's a very comprehensive syllabus you guys have. So the policymakers need to make mainly economic policy. Then there are social, political, all those policies are there. But economic policies is our focus. When policymakers make economic policies, right, the economist job, the job of the right economists is to make sure that these policymakers, when they make economic policies, are given certain advice and guidance. When economists give advice and guidance to the policymakers, when they make economic policies, happens in two ways. There are two types of economists. There are two types of economic advice that we give to the policymakers. Those are what we call positive economics or positive economic statements or normative economics and normative economic statements, right? So now you guys are very clear on where does this come from? Positive, normative, you know, why are we talking about it? What is it all about? It's all about how economists can give advice and guidance to the policymakers when they make what policies? Economic policies. Economic policies. Are we clear? Right. So now let's talk about these two types of statements, economic advice, right? Or economic approach. First, positive economics, right? Positive economics, right? I'll make it very simple for you guys. Positive economics is where, or positive economic statements are where simply an economist is trying to explain a certain situation or trying to explain a relationship between, right? So basically in positive economics, right? I'll just take it here. In positive economics, we are trying to explain, right, something that is happening in the economy, some event, some situation. So when we try to explain a certain, I'll say situ meaning situation, or we are trying to explain certain, we say relationship, right? We are trying to explain a relationship between, right, between two or more, right? We'll say between between two or more variables. When we try to explain the relationship between two or more variables, or when we are trying to explain something that is happening in the economy, right? That is when we make a positive statement. So positive statements are very, very, what we say is objective. Positive statements are, sorry, okay, positive statements are very objective statements. What does the word objective meaning? Open for discussion. It is not a person's just an opinion. It is not a decision someone has made. It's someone saying what they think, right? Or what they think is happening in the economy, or what they think has happened. Now these words also make it easy to understand positive economics, right? So in positive economics, we simply try to explain a situation, or we try to explain a relationship between two or more variables, right? Two or more variables. Basically, we try to say what was, right? What is, and what might be, right? So three things. We try to explain something that happened in the past, or we are trying to explain something that is happening now is, or we are trying to explain that something might happen in the future, right? So a positive statement is a statement where someone says what they believe, but it's an objective statement. What does that word mean? But it's open for argument, open for debate. So because it's objective, that's where we can actually look at evidence. We can look at whether this is actually happening or not. We can look at the evidence in the society. And when someone makes a positive economic statement, we can look at actual evidence, and we can either prove that statement or we can disprove that statement. Sometimes when someone makes a positive economic statement, we look at the actual evidence and we realize if we correct that statement a bit, if we adjust that statement a bit, it can be proven. So we either can prove, correct, or disprove positive statements. And my intelligence student, this is the final and the final thing to know about positive statements, is a positive statement when it is proven with actual evidence, right? You understand about I'm using words like proven, evidence. That means scientific method. No, we make a statement. If it's a positive statement, we make the statement. We give an explanation about something or the relationship between two variables, and then that is a statement. Then we build an experiment, a social experiment. Then in the experiment, we look at evidence. After looking at evidence, we reach a conclusion. Remember that part? Experiment, observation, conclusion, scientific method. So we actually, in positive statements with the positive economics, we go through the scientific method. And after going to the scientific method and looking at actual evidence and thinking logically, we will either prove, correct, or disprove the statement. And if we prove the statement, that's where what is born, what is created, an economic theory, an economic law, a concept is created. When a positive statement is proven, that's where, when a positive statement is proven, that's where we have an economic theory, we have an economic law, that then after that we use that in our subject to analyze, understand, and make decisions, right? Are we clear? That's what a positive statement is all about. So some of these key things we will highlight in your note, and part of the note we will have to write also. I think you guys are very clear on what positive normative is about and what is a positive economic statement. Of course, if you guys are not clear on anything that I am saying, if you want to clarify something, please don't wait for me to remind you to do this. Use the group chat option. Just unmute your microphone, say, excuse me, sir, maybe if possible, mention your name, and then directly ask your question, right? That's the advantage of being a part of the live session. Okay. When you are the recorded session, you don't get that benefit, right? So my intelligent 2024 advanced level students, right? Here we go, right? But on page 8, you can find this. This is printed and given. Now, let me ask you another quick thing to see whether you guys remember these small things. I use a particular color on the virtual whiteboard, PowerPoint slides. I use a particular color when it's something you have to write as a note. What is the color that I use? Yes. Brilliant. I've got some very quick responses. Excellent. Yes, blue color, dark light shade of blue color. So if something appears in blue, right, you guys shouldn't be blue about it. You guys should realize that it's something I have to write down as a note. And somewhere on the virtual whiteboard or the PowerPoint slide, either on top of the slide, bottom of the slide, somewhere, I will keep mentioning the page number also, right? So that you guys get an idea where you have to write this. Okay, here we go. Let's get this done. Let's highlight a few things, some of the key words, terms you have to remember. So when you hear positive economic statements, these words should come to mind. Okay, and they will help you identify the statement as well. Right, let's highlight these things. Positive economic statements are highly objective, open for argument, open for discussion, objective, right? Prove, disprove, all that is possible because they are objective statements, nature statements, which can be tested, So when we test them, what is the outcome? Either it's proven. Now, when you do nowadays it's a bit less, hopefully it will remain less. But during the pandemic, you guys remember, what was this famous test that everyone or most people had to undergo, and it's very discomforting test. What is that called? During the pandemic, there was this whole rapid antigen thing, and what was the other thing? The gold standard test was what? Yes, yes, my God, PCR, right? So that's a test. So when you do a test, there has to be an outcome. Now in the PCR, you don't say proven, disproven, COVID is corrected or whatever. There you say positive, negative, right? So when you test, there has to be an outcome. So what are the outcomes? Either you basically proven, or corrected, if not disproven, right? Using available actual evidence. That's another thing I kept on saying, no? Actual evidence. Okay. And what thinking? Logical thinking. Using the what method? Scientific method. So positive statements can be proven, corrected, disproven using scientific method. Sometimes for this actual evidence, we say empirical evidence, right? That's just a word, right? Maybe good to know, right? Then positive, now this is in red color because that entire point is important. So don't just waste your highlighter ink by trying to underline the entire thing. Maybe the point itself, just you can underline, or you can frame this, right? And say, and make sure you realize that it's something very, very important to that, right? So, okay. So this whole point is very important, the entire thing. What does it say? Positive economic statements focus on, remember this, I think I might need to use a slightly different color here. Explaining, right? Explaining or answering questions such as explaining, right? I'll use that word. What was, that is the past. What is, that is the present. And what might be, that is the future. So positive statements always have this thing where we try to explain what happened in the past, what is happening now, what might happen in the future. Now, that's the part that politicians need from the economists, the policymakers need from the economist as guidance. As what? Guidance. So the job of the economist is to tell the politician, look here, politician, look here, Minister X, Y, and Z. If you do these things, this is what will happen. That is talking about the present. If because we have done this, now these are the outcomes we see. And this is what we did in the past, and this is what happened in the past. So always explaining, right? Why inflation rates are increasing, or are inflation rates increasing, right? What is happening to the foreign exchange rate? Why are we having to pay more and more rupees to buy a dollar, right? Why is that happening? And what is the trend that we are seeing? What will happen in the future, right? And what is happening to our economies, output level, growth, economic growth? What is happening to people's income level? In all of these economic areas, right? When we explain things to the politician, what happened in the past, what is happening now, or what might happen in the future, that is where we are talking positive economics. Positive economics. Big responsibility of the economists, because, and the responsibility of the politicians or the decision makers, right? They also might have, an economist can become a politician. Also, they also might have a knowledge, but their job is to listen to the economist, right? Okay, as the very famous saying goes, no? Advice is something the wise don't need, but fools don't take. So job of the politician is to take the advice. Okay, when economists give that advice, right? When proper economists give that advice, right? So, but these are done. Did you guys highlight these words? Yes, are we okay? Ladies and gentlemen, yep. Need a response? Yes. Okay. Some of you guys are very silent. Why is that? Yeah. Are we done? The only way I know you guys are alert and awake and fully with me is if you respond with that. Right. Okay. Good. Yes. Right. Then let's move on. This is the part, right? Notice the color, right? 2 points. Space is there in the hard copy of the study material. If you don't have it, notepad, notebook, for now, write the page number and get the note done. Later on, when you get the hard copy of the study material, you can complete the notes. All the main, remember, all the main theories, right? All the main theories, then laws in economics are based on positive economic statements, based on positive economic statements. That's how we build our subject, by positive economic statements, objective statements. They are very they are used in economic point of economics, used in economics, right? Economics, S is missing there. They are used in economics to point out the relationship. We talked about that also. I said either explain a situation or the relationship between two variables. Relationship between variables, and explain certain events. This we already highlighted the word explain earlier. I'll just go for it again. Certain events based on the empirical evidence. That's the word I said. If you can remember that word. Empirical evidence is another way of saying actual evidence. Actual evidence. Okay, right. Write this. Make sure it's highlighted. And soon as you're done, my intelligent students, my proactive intelligent students, let me know so that I can move on. Okay, with that? Right. Write and highlight the words. Okay. Done? How are we doing? Okay. Now, okay, good. As you guys can see in the study material, right? Next, we are going to talk about normative statements. But now, because we have some kind of an idea about positive statements now, right? I hope I'm confident it's a bit more than some kind of an idea, right? We should be able to easily understand normative statements. And then you can see in page 8, right? I have a slide for that also, that we have basically, I have given the very common words that we use in positive statements. That is also very useful. I'll tell you why it's useful and why I have done it that way. Then in page 9, another thing I have done is I have given some examples of positive statements, and the same thing, if it was a normative statement, how would it be different? That kind of an exercise will also help us be very good with these statements, right? Maybe let me ask you guys a certain question, and you guys can think about it. So this is not only a question, it's kind of food for thought, maybe. Do you think this area is tested in your exam? Now, especially when we start learning economics, with certain things we learn under introduction to economics are not directly tested, no? But we anyway talk about them. We spend time in those areas because only then we will understand what economics is. So is this that kind of a thing, or is this tested in your exam? If it is tested, how is it tested? As you guys are aware, how many papers do you get for the, how many types of papers do you get in the exam? The actual advanced level exam for economics, how many types of papers do you get? Is there anyone who would like to unmute the microphone and answer, add a bit of a voice to the session in addition to my annoying voice? Anyone? You have to mention your name and then give the answer. How many types of papers do we have in the economics exam for A-levels? Anyone? No? Okay. Hasini has given a response. Anyone else who would like to just pitch in? Let's give a response. How many types of papers do we have in economics? Okay. Akila has given a response. Anyone else? Okay, Majida. Okay, good. You have given response. Anyone else would like to take a, attempt at this? No? Okay, right. Yes, all three of you guys, all four of you guys have responded correctly. There are two papers with them, right? There are two papers we have. One is a MCQ paper, right? There will be 50 MCQs, 5 options, 1 correct answer, 50 MCQ paper is there, 2 hours. Then, as you guys know, there's a second paper for economics, which is going to have structured essay type questions. Simply said, written, you write answers, right? But not essay questions, structured essay type questions, right? 4 mark, 5 mark questions will be there. Some estimations can be there. Some diagrams you will be asked to draw and stuff like that. Second paper. Now, where is this area? Is it tested? If it is tested, in what paper is it tested? The MCQ paper or the structured paper? That's the part I wanted to think about. Okay, right. Let's move on. Normative statements. Okay, let's get this done because now it should be a bit easier. Normative economic statements. What did we say for positive economic statements? We said they are objective. But normative economic statements, normative economic statements are highly subjective. When something is subjective, it is different from one situation to another. It is that person's, meaning whoever is making this statement, it is that person's, there's this word, here we go. That person's, what is the word? Opinion. It is not something open for discussion. It is very much that person's opinion. And that person will hold on to that opinion. No, this is what it is. This is what, this word is so important. This is what should be done. This is what should happen. That's normative. That is subjective. And it depends on each person's, our opinions, the opinions we form. Our opinions on anything is decided based on our values and our value judgments, right? Values or value judgment. What is this value or value judgment, right? So a person's opinion is about, in the second point it says, a person's opinion is about that person's ethics, that person's beliefs, that person's values, and that person's norms. What that person thinks is acceptable or not acceptable, what is normal and abnormal, right? So based on each person's set of ethics, set of beliefs, set of values and norms, that person will form an opinion. And when that person gives that opinion, that is called a normative statement, which is very subjective. Why? Because it is different from person to person. It is that particular person's opinion, and he or she will not be he or she will not be willing to change it, or it's not something we can prove, disprove, all that we can't do, because it's simply an opinion. It is not a suggestion. It is not an explanation. It is not objective. It is highly subjective. Okay. Right. As I explained, Buddha, in your study material, page 8, you can highlight these words, right? And then we say, okay, these statements tend to suggest, this statement tends to suggest. So these are the of the person, institution, right? That's okay. Third point, these statements tend to suggest what should be done. What, that's why I said that word is important, should. What should be done, or how the economy should be. That's an opinion, right? Interest rates are increasing. That's positive. That's a positive statement. That's an objective statement. You can look at the actual evidence. You can look at the economy and see, are interest rates increasing or not? Get it? But a normative statement is interest rate should be increased, or interest rate should be kept high. Should be. What should happen? Normative. That person's opinion, right? So economists, when they advise policymakers, sometimes have to be normative. Sometimes economists have to say, do this. This should be done. Got it? Then only the politician will get that advice and act on it. Sometimes economists have to be positive. Just explain things to the politician. Both things are important. And how the economy should be. Normative statements always have a personal value judgment, or our word was what? Opinion. Such as the word should. That's a key word, right? That you will see. And will be more focused on economic policy, right? So positive statements help the policy maker figure out the situation. Normative statements are basically telling the policy maker or the politician what should be done. What should be our country's economic policy? What should be the monetary policy? What should be the fiscal policy? Right? So normative statements. So that's important. Normative statements are more connected with what policies, but are economic policies. Okay? Right. So I think you guys are done highlighting. Am I correct? My responsive students, am I correct? Yes, highlighting part is done. Right. Shall we move on to the next part, right? Where I said I will be sharing a set of words with you guys that will help us figure out positive statements, normative statements, right? Are you guys done? Can I go to the next slide? Yes. Right. So positive, normative. Now, but I remember the question I asked you guys earlier, the food for thought I gave you guys. What was that? Is this area tested in the exam? If it is tested, how is it tested? Anyone? Last week, I remember some of you guys really made the class very proactive. You even unmuted your microphone and answered some of my questions. Why am I not hearing that today? Is this area tested or not in the exam? Just say what you think. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Just say what you think. Okay. With a greater difficulty, I'm getting one paper. One question. I mean, one response. Sorry for my question. Structured essay type. Okay. Right. Then first paper, right? Anyone willing to voice your opinion or voice your response? No? Today you all feel a bit shy? And at any moment, but you can unmute the microphone and ask, right? Or say, respond, okay? Okay, right. Now, I'm just trying to guide you guys, right? Like economists are guiding politicians. I'm just trying to give you a bit of a guidance and maybe try to have A levels more than any other exam and economics. It's all about how you think. It's about your attitude, right? So I'm going to try to inculcate, my God, the big word, no? Inculcate or create a certain attitude in you, or create what I like to call a bit of a positive or proactive, right? Positive or proactive mindset. Okay. Proactive mindset, right? Because we really need it in economics. What is this positive proactive mindset? What is the big thing, right? Now, most of you, okay, how many of you guys have the hard copy of the study material with you, Buddha? If you can just raise your hand, and if not, say yes using the group chat or verbally, right? I'll use this as an opportunity now to very quickly do this. So when I say your name, I want a response, right? If you have the study material, I want you guys to say yes. If not, I want you guys to say no. In a very clear voice, loud and clear, I want the answer. Okay, don't shy away from this. I need to make sure you guys are on board, right? So I'm going to start with the order. Quickly, I'm going to get through this. I need quick responses, right? Okay. Akila Ismail, yes or no? Hard copy of the study material. Okay, I think there's something wrong with my volume, right? I didn't hear you. Maybe earlier also did that happen, right? Just give me a minute, Buddha. Right, okay. So, right. So do you have the, sorry, Buddha, I'm really sorry to trouble you again, but I didn't hear anything. That's why I wanted to ask. Akila, you said yes or no? Right, okay. You have, right? Good. So if I didn't hear properly, then use the group chat also, right? Then Amna, what about you?
No, sir.
No, right. So please make sure, but as soon as possible, that you collect the hard copy of the study material, right? Call the coordinator and do the needful. He will explain what you need to do. Then Akila Fazal.
No, sir.
No, right. Okay. Then Ayesha.
No, sir, I was still interested.
Right. Okay. Then try to collect it as soon as possible. But talk to the coordinator. He will guide you guys. Right. Christine.
No, sir.
No. Okay. Now this is scaring me. Right. Is there anyone who has this? Right. Let's see. Hasini.
No, sir.
No. Khadija.
No, sir.
No. Okay. Who collected the hard copy then? Madija? I'm sorry, but right. Okay. There was something with the right. Okay. Right. Okay. Then Nadishani?
No, sir.
Okay. Netme, you have said you have.
Yes, sir.
Right. Yes. Okay. Then Shira. Did I say your name properly? But I'm sorry if I mispronounce it.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Do you have the hard copy, Buddha?
Yes, sir.
Right. Okay. Then yeah. Okay. So you have basically got a printout of it, no, from the website, right? You can actually collect this with us. We have printed for each and every one of you, right? Madhya, you have got, right? So I think I explained this last week. I know because of the transportation issues, you guys might have a bit of a challenge in going to the Mind-Hub admin office, you know, Colombo 6 down Maya Avenue near Sigma Institute. But anyway, Buddha, please make it a point, right? Trouble your parents a bit, right? This is good trouble, right? Please make it a point to talk to your parents also and get in touch with the coordinator, please. Not 777-277-729, right? Call the coordinator, right? Or drop a WhatsApp text to the coordinator, and somehow by next on or before next Friday, Buddha, I want all of you guys to promise me, right, who hasn't got the hard copy of this, because only this is only effective if we do that, right? So I can't even make the point I was about to make, that is about the positive or proactive mindset. Now I can't do it because most of you guys don't have it. So please call the coordinator soon as possible. No, not now. After the session, call the coordinator soon as possible, and please make sure that you have this, Buddha, right? This is the first book. There is another book. So whenever a study material is available, we will update you guys in your WhatsApp group. Then your responsibility is to make sure that whatever the requirement is done, and soon as possible get in touch with the coordinator. Check the availability, go and collect it from the Mind-Hub office. Before you go, call the coordinator. He will explain what you need to do. Then go to the office. You or your parents can go and collect the study materials. If not, Putha, maybe talk to the coordinator and get it couriered, right? You might have to pay the courier charges, cash on delivery, but still, if you don't have the time to go or no facility to go, then get it couriered. So before next Friday, I want all of you guys to make sure that somehow you get this to your hand. Yes, shall we do that? Are you okay? Yes or no? Positive, proactive mindset.
Yes, sir.
Right. Excellent. Good. Brilliant. Get it done, Buddha. Okay. So that, you know, it's a very effective thing when you have the study material with you, right? Okay. So I'll say what I wanted to say about this positive mindset and all that next time, and another opportunity I will get, right? But basically, my question was, is this tested? If it is tested, how it is tested, the positive normative area? Because if you had the study material, I could have showed you that it has been tested in past papers and how it has been tested also, because I included the past paper questions in this, right? So a few of you guys who have it would see I have a TYK area, no? End of each learning key, that is test your knowledge area is there, some questions. So in this TYK area, right, I have given some multiple choice questions. So if you see those multiple choice questions, you will realize they are from different past papers. So what does that tell us? Positive normative economics, and also the right. Is there anyone in the waiting room? Yes. Positive normative. Right. Ziad and Hasini, I think you guys had some connectivity issues, correct? Yeah, Buddha? Are we in the class now? We are okay. You guys can hear me?
Yes, sir.
Right. Ziad, you're also okay. You can hear. Yes. Maybe the issue is still there. Right. Okay. Hopefully you guys can hear me now. The point is whether now this is tested, not only positive normative, but the micro macro. Both of these areas are tested in your exam. But the thing is, they will not be tested in the second paper, but they will be tested via or using multiple choice questions, right? Either there will be an MCQ question about positive normative, or there will be an MCQ question about micro macro. Normally, we don't see both being tested in a given year also. One of the two can be tested and has been tested enough and more in MCQ questions. I've given some of those in the study material. Now, how they test this is, what they do is they give you 5 options, right? They give you 5 options. All right, okay, I got it, Ziad. Now you're okay. Yes, now you are back in the session. You can hear me clearly. Right. And might as well I ask you this question also. Do you have the hard copy of the study material with you, Buddha? Yes. All right, brilliant. Okay. Excellent. Right. So as I was saying, this will be tested, but MCQ, and the format is normally, it's good to know these things. Format is normally 5 statements they will give, and they will ask you to pick the normative statement or the positive statements. Because this area is tested via the MCQ format, the words that are commonly used in positive statements and normative statements becomes very useful, really good tool for you to have when you try to answer these MCQ questions successfully. What are these words? Positive statements, common words are was, wasn't, has, hasn't, may, may not, shall, shall not. Okay, shall not sounds a bit normative, but these are the very common statements that you will find, right? Very common statements that you will find. Then normative economic statements, right? The words are, and I'm sure you guys were expecting this word when it was normative. What is the word? Should. Because normative statements are about opinion, subjective opinion. So the most common English word that we use when we give an opinion is the word should or shouldn't. And it's always going to take a side, Buddha. It's going to say something is good or bad. Right, wrong, fair, unfair. These are the most common words you will see when we make normative economic statements. Normative economic statements. Okay, right. Let's do that example. I think it will really help us master this area. Right. So these are the statements I have given for positive. Let's try to think about how it will be normative, right? If it is a normative statement. High interest rates may encourage people to save more. You will want to save more with banks because if banks are paying higher interest for your savings. Now, why is it a positive statement, Buddha? Look at the words, and not only that, also look at whether it's objective in nature. It is objective, no, meaning it can be proven, no, right? We can look at the banking system and see when interest rates are high, are savings actually increasing or not? And if we have the evidence to say, yes, when interest rates are high, savings are increasing, we can prove this statement, no? So if it is not happening, we say the statement is wrong, it's disproven. So may encourage. So it's an objective statement, can be proven with actual evidence, positive statement. Normative form of this statement, we can say interest rates should be high. Interest rates should be high. Simply that. Or we can say savings should increase, interest rate should be increased, or interest rates should be increased in order to increase saving, something like that. So there we are saying what should be done. It's a normative statement. Clear? Then it says a high tax on tobacco has discouraged, high tax on tobacco has discouraged discouraged smoking. So this is a positive statement, right? The word is has there, by the way, and it's positive because we can look at the consumption or the sales of cigarettes before and after the tax rate has been increased. Actual evidence we can find. So we can see before the tax rate was increased, what was the sale? After the tax rate was increased, what was the sale? Look at the empirical or actual evidence and say whether it's proven or disproven. Objective. Yes, right. The same thing, normative could be what? We can say tax rates on tobacco or tax rates on cigarettes should be increased. Should be increased. Normative. Or we can say tobacco or cigarettes should be banned. Even that is possible. Normative. What should be done? Right? The opinion. Then color coding of soft drinks based on the sugar level has no impact on the demand for soft drinks. Has no impact on the demand for soft drinks. Has no impact on the demand for soft drinks. That is a positive statement. Why? It's objective in nature. It's open for discussion, and you can prove or disprove it using actual evidence. You can ask the soft drinks producers, right? The Alia Beema people, the Coca-Cola people, the other, Kist and all those people that make, what do you call this, fruit drinks and stuff like Nectar and all that, right? You would have noticed, right? There is this circular, different color stickers that are there that indicate the sugar content. When the color becomes darker, the sugar content is high. When the color becomes lighter, the sugar content is low. We are, as literate, educated people, we need to look into the stuff we put into our body, right? So we want to know this. Now basically we can just ask the soft drinks producers, right? Before you guys had the color coding and after you guys had the color coding, your high sugar content drinks, did the sales increase or did they actually decrease? If they say yes, they decreased, then the statement is disproven. If they say no, the sales didn't really decrease, people still buy it, even knowing that it is high sugar content, even with the darker color sticker, they still buy it, then the statement is proven. Actual evidence. If it comes to normative, what we can say is a color coding should be implemented on soft drinks with high sugar content, something like that, or soft drinks with high sugar levels should be banned, should be prohibited, something like that. Also is a normative statement. Opinion is there, should be done. Capital punishment may help reduce drug-related major crimes. Capital punishment may reduce drug-related major crimes. What is capital punishment? The death sentence. Capital punishment is the death sentence. So again, a positive statement because, right, capital punishment may, that is the word there, may help reduce drug-related major crimes. So what we can do is, in Sri Lanka, if we can't look into this, you can't do all experiments, no, but no, capital punishment meaning you are giving a person a death sentence, no. You can't give about 10-20 people a death sentence to see whether it works or not, no. You get what I'm saying? It has to have a better approach than that. No, we have to have a better approach than that, right? Right. I think one of your classmates joined the session and left the session. all within less than a minute, right? Right. And I think maybe the wrong class or the time got confused. Right. If any of your friends later on, Puta, let you know that I couldn't participate or I got the time confused, something like that, please tell them to just call the coordinator, right? Get in touch with the coordinator and the coordinator can guide them on what they need to do, right? Okay. So hopefully that is what happened. Anyway, so what we can do is to see whether this statement is proven or disproven. The actual evidence is we can look at a country, Puta, and see, we can look at a country where they have the capital punishment for drug-related offenses or crimes, and we can ask them for some evidence or some data before they introduce the capital punishment and after they introduce the capital punishment, the drug crime rate, has it actually changed? If the drug crime rate has gone down after the capital punishment or death sentence was introduced, that means the capital punishment works. So we can prove the statement. But if they say no, even after we introduce the capital punishment, the drug-related crime rates are still at the same level, then the capital punishment doesn't work. The statement is disproven. Get it? Positive nature. For normative, we can say capital punishment should be introduced. Capital punishment should not be introduced. End of story. Got it? Right. So can you guys quickly get this done? Write the normative forms. Okay. Write the normative forms. I'm sure you highlighted the words in the positive form, positive statements, right? Make sure I've highlighted the words in the positive statements as well. And then put the right, quickly write the normative statements for each of these. People should save more, or interest rates should be increased. Smoking or tobacco should be banned, or taxes should be increased, something like that. Then government should introduce a system of color coding. Yes, should. Capital punishment should be introduced. So obviously the word is there, right? That's the most common term you will see. It's very difficult sometimes to give a opinion or write a normative statement without this word. Okay, right. So get it done. And can you guys let me know once it's done? We can move on to micro-macro area. right? How are we doing, Putta? Done? Yeah. Okay. So in order for me to go to the next part, that is a quick discussion on micro and macroeconomics, a very easy area to identify. I need to go to the next slide. So I hope you guys are done. Because a good number of you guys are yet to collect the hard copy of the study material. I need to be clear when I move on to the next slide. Okay. Now all of you know that you get a student version of these slides, a PDF I give as a downloadable. Are you okay with that? Are you guys clear on that? Right? When you go to the website or follow the class link, you guys are taken to that page on the website. No, there the downloadable material is there. You get a view of it. Also, you can download it and have it with you. If possible, take a print of it. If not, not necessary. Just have it as a soft thing, PDF, and you can go through it. But remember, what is given is a student version. Now, some of your seniors, that is from the 2023 batch, 22 batch, they sometimes what they do is they assume because this PDF is given, they don't have to write things. They think the slide is there, but what is given is a student version. So even in the slides, some of these things that you write in that are in blue color, anything in blue color that appears on the screen, the virtual whiteboard, anything that appears in blue color, either in the study material, hard copy, or in a notepad or notebook, you have to make a note because it is not there in the PDF. Now, sometimes you might think, "Ayo, why is it not there in the PDF? Isn't it easier? Why can't sir just give it?" Because if I do that, you will not be writing things. Right? Remember the pillars of learning, pillars of ultimate knowledge. What are the pillars of learning or ultimate knowledge? When you guys collect the hard copy, right? When you collect the THO, you will get something like this. It's a small poster that we give, right? It's not a degree scroll or something like that, right? Small poster that we give, right? I don't have a soft copy of it to show you. So I'll just open this up, right? This we want our students, physical and virtual students, right? But just to have it pasted, without damaging the wall. Of course, your parents will get annoyed. Somewhere in your room, somewhere next to your study desk or table or wherever, we want you to have it. Once you collect the hard copy, you will get it, right? So in this, the center of this, I'm explaining what are the pillars of ultimate knowledge and success. Right? Even in 2022, even in 2050, end of the day, these are the things you have to do if you want to learn something. One of the first things I have given, the first pillar, right? In this, these 4 pillars you can see, the first pillar I have given is basically, right? The first thing that holds up the knowledge you want to gather is writing. Pen on paper. Your actual exam is a physical pen on paper exam. Understood? So you might be virtual students, but we have to write notes. To encourage you to write notes, to make sure you write notes, when I give the PDF of the slides, I only give a student version with the blanks. Understood? That is done for your benefit. What are the other pillars of learning? Reading, listening, application. Reading, listening, and application. Got it? If you do these 4 things, anything you can learn, and you will learn it well. And you will learn it in such a way, you will remember what you learned. Got it? That's also an important thing about writing things. You remember things more if you write them down. Yes? The effort principle, we call it. More effort you put to write things down, to read, to apply, right? More you remember. What is it called? The effort principle of learning. Got it? Right. So I think you guys are clear. So make the notes, right? Okay. Moving on. Microeconomics and macroeconomics. Very basic stuff. Micro and macro. Right? No, before this slide, there is a small slide that I use. Let me see. Yeah, that's there. No problem. Sorry. Micro and macro. Let's start with micro. As the word itself suggests, word itself is giving the idea. This is where we look at an individual economic unit or the activities of an individual economic activity. Then we call it microeconomics, right? Micro, the individual components of the economic when you study. So it says microeconomics is a branch of, so the economics tree has two branches, micro and macro. It's the branch of economics which studies, okay, we need to highlight a few things here, which studies, which studies individual decision-making units of an economic system. Individual decision-making units. The really key word is that individual. It is about one market. It is about the demand supply for one product. That's why I said market, one product. It's about one firm. It's about or firms producing one particular good. Okay, individual, always one. It's about one household or the demand made by all the households for one product. It's about one firm or the supply made by all the firms, but for one product. So always it's about an individual component. If it's the government, if it's about the tax, example, a tax, the government will charge on one product. Get it? Some kind of a rule or regulation the government has on one market. When it's individual, that's microeconomics. Is that clear? Keyword individual. Right? Microeconomics. Such as a consumer, laborer, resource or factor owner, business firm, one firm, and the government, but even the government, when the government does something that only affects one market, one good or service, then we call it micro. Got it? Right. Now, in microeconomics, we study the interrelationship between these units and determine the patterns of production, distribution of goods and services. So we look at the interrelationship between units. So when we say units, these individual economic units, I hope that part is clear. Individual economic units. In microeconomics, we try to understand the patterns of production. How is a firm going to produce a good or service? How is supply working? How is demand working? How is the availability, distribution of goods working? So, for example, if someone wants to understand why we have such long queues for petrol, why we have such long queues for diesel, kerosene oil, and now the gas, LP gas queues are of course a bit lesser, but why do we have these? If someone is doing a study, that is what a microeconomic study, no? Why? But it's focusing on a particular market, particular good, in this case, a particular good, petrol or diesel. Why is there a shortage? What is the problem in distribution? Get it? Microeconomics. Understood? Right. Are we okay? Done? Highlighted? Ladies, gentlemen, my proactive students. Yeah. What is this, man? I keep calling you guys proactive. You guys are very slow to react even. Right. Excellent. Okay. Done. Moving on now. So what is the most important word to identify microeconomics? What is the single main word here? that I kept on hitting?
Individual.
Individual. Brilliant. Yes. Good. Okay. Right. Individual economic unit, individual decision maker, one product, one market. Macroeconomics, shall we? Right. Macro, the word itself, macro. I like to really call this big picture economics, right? Big picture economics. Now, if you guys, or what you see on your screen, I know what you see is the slide, right? Now, for example, I have illustration also, but I'll just use this very quickly, right? I'll just quickly do this. Okay. Now, here, okay, I'll move the cursor also. I'll use the cursor. You guys can see the cursor, the green color thing? Respond, please. Do you see this green color thing moving on the screen? Yes, now it's near my forehead. Yes or no?
No, sir.
No, right. Okay, good. Yes, I have hidden the cursor. No, sorry, I did the setting that way. I forgot. Right. Anyway, now, Buddha, let's see. You see the screen, you see the image. Yes, there's something in my background. There's something in my foreground, right? The mic and the stuff, something that I'm holding in my hand, right? Okay. Now, if you focus on, if you try to zoom in a bit and look at what is behind me, right? In terms of the switches or the regulator there in the back. Or if I write something on the board there, whiteboard there behind me, and if you try to go in and look at what is there, or if you try to focus on the microphone alone and see what's happening, maybe try to read the brand name or whatever it is. Are we clear? Then what is it? It's what kind of analysis. If you try to zoom in on one element of the picture that you see, it is a, what kind of analysis is that? If you try to do that. I need more of you guys to respond. If you focus only on the microphone that you see on the screen and really try to learn and observe the microphone, what is that? What kind of analysis? Come on, I need more responses. Good. Putta, this is the only way I know you all are with me. Otherwise, I'm talking to myself. Right? Hopefully, with a very clear microphone. Okay. So what is the level of analysis, or what kind of analysis is that? If you focus on one of the things you see in this picture, in this frame, it's basically, yes, very good. Microeconomics. Are we okay? It's basically what economics? Microeconomics. Sorry, it's a micro analysis, not economics. Learning about the microphone is not economics, but it's micro analysis. What is macro analysis then? When you try to observe the big picture, when you look at everything at once, me, what I am wearing, the glasses, whatever not, what I have in my hand, what is in my background, what is in my foreground. If you look at the entire thing and try to analyze, that is called what economics? Oh, sorry, that is called what analysis? Macro analysis. That's called the macro analysis. Is that clear? Micro and macro. Are we okay? Right. So in that sense, you guys can easily understand the difference between micro and macro. So in micro, there was this word, no, Buddha. That word was, in micro, there was a word. What was the word? The word was individual. In macro, there is a word. Okay. That word is, the proper word there is aggregate. So I'm going to jump to the second point with your permission and highlight that word. What is the word? Aggregate. Okay. So the word is aggregate. Right. Aggregate means, simple meaning of the word aggregate is what? The simple meaning of the word aggregate is? Anyone who can help us? Simple meaning of the word aggregate. When I say aggregate something, or what is the aggregate of? What am I asking? Simple meaning is what, Buddha? Simple meaning is, the two words I can give, maybe they will help. Either I can say total, hopefully you guys can see, a very light color I'm using, right? Total, or another word I can use is overall, total or overall. So aggregate economics, total economics, overall economics is what we call macroeconomics, right? Did you guys start writing already? Did you notice the first point is in blue color? In page 9, or just say page 9 in your notepad or notebook, did you guys start writing? Only the first point, other two are printed and given. Talkman, what is this? Yes or no? Are we okay? What is happening? Right? Okay. Get this done, Putta. Right soon. So I'll read it quickly. Macroeconomics is the branch of economics which studies the behavior of the economy as a whole. Right? Of the economy as a whole. Total economy. Economy as a whole. Simple English, we call this big picture economics. Looking at the big picture. Like the example I gave, looking at the entire screen, big picture. That's called macroeconomics. Macroeconomics. The second point says, in macroeconomics, we very closely observe the economy's structure, performance, and behavior on an aggregate basis. Total, that is the word, aggregate. Like in micro, it was individual. Then it says, this branch of economics focuses on the concepts such as, this is important, circular flow model, business cycle, national income, right? I'll just highlight a few of these. National income, unemployment, inflation, right? Exchange rates. All of these are big micro topics, micro variables. Interest rate, then government budget, right? Then here we have national income. So we say GDP growth, right? GDP growth. All of these are, GDP growth means economic growth. All of these are the very common macro areas, macro variables. That's the word, macro variables, right? Okay, make a note of those also for the interest rates, government budget, GDP growth, right? Be very clear on this. Once you guys are done, if you can let me know, I can go to the next slide. What time am I supposed to end the class? Is it at 5? Can I take a few more minutes? About 10 minutes, maybe, if that's okay with you guys. How are we doing? Are we okay? Yes. Right? Because I want to cover a bit more, right? According to the plan for the day, I have to cover a bit more. Right. Okay, Bata? Done? Shall we go to the next slide? If anyone wants me to come back, let me know. Right? Okay. So a quick visual analysis. Now, this is a device that we normally try to look at something very small. Sometimes we can't see with our naked eye. We try to focus and zoom in a bit and see. You zoom in many times and see. What is it called?
Microscope.
Microscope. Right. Very good. So now, normally a person who would look through a microscope would be maybe a biologist, maybe a chemist, that kind of a natural scientist. No, But this microscope is a special one. The person who is going to keep their eye or eyes and look at this is an economist, who is also a scientist, economist. So it is economic microscope. And the petri dish, or the thing that we keep underneath the microscope to have a look at it, is the entire thing is what we call the entire economy. The big circle is the entire economy, right? So inside, in this petri dish that we keep, right, that entire dish is, you guys are clear on what I'm saying, no? Right? Right. This, right. Okay. This entire thing, right? Right. Sorry. This entire circle, right, looks ugly. I get it. This entire thing is the economy. Okay. We put it under the microscope, and in that, if we start focusing only on one of the elements, only on one individual element, that is what we call microeconomic analysis. A microeconomic analysis, right? Okay, if we zoom in a bit more on from the economic microscope and focus on one element and try to understand the things inside that element, microeconomic analysis. So microeconomic analysis normally focuses on things like the market demand, market supply, market price. When we say market, it means for one product of a given good or service. One, remember the word individual, one market. Is that clear? Right. Macro is when we look at the entire circle. Entire thing is the economy. So when we look at the entire thing, we call it macro analysis. The macro analysis use the word aggregate. Aggregate demand, demand for all goods and services. Aggregate supply, the supply of all goods and services. General price levels, the price of all goods and services. That is what we use to measure inflation. Uddamani, inflation. Get it? So of all goods and services. This difference between micro and macro analysis, visually, we can explain it this way. Right? Now here, the micro is in blue color. Don't write. Right? This is given in your PDF also. It's there. Okay? Right. Clear? Are we perfectly okay with micro, macro? Positive, normative? What do you think? Ladies, gentlemen. Ayo.
Yes,
Are we
sir.
okay? Yes? Sure? Right. Shall we tackle some questions, past paper questions, to see whether we are okay? Yes? Shall we quickly do that before we finish the session for the day? Right? Okay. Right. So what I want to do now is go to the study material, which the hard copy you guys will collect soon as possible. Right? So there are a few more things, but I don't worry about them too much. We will do them. Right? But let's look at, if you have the hard copy of the study material, I want, by the way, any of these questions, Puta, you can now answer actually, right? So make sure that you answer all the TYK questions. That is the questions in page number 12, right? There are some 6 MCQ questions. Then there is a true or false area. Do that as well. Try to write short answers for these questions. Right? Now we will discuss the past paper MCQs. Okay? Right. First one, question 13, 2018 advanced level. Are we okay, Buddha? Can you guys clearly see this? Can I? Right. Zoom in a bit more. Yeah, now it's very clear, I'm sure. Okay, right. 2018 advanced levels. It says the normative statement out of the following statements would be, right. First one, the increased fuel prices shall encourage the demand for electric cars. Is it a positive statement or a normative statement? Shall, sorry?
Positive statement.
Positive, very good. Okay. Sorry, but I couldn't get your name.
Khadija.
Right. Okay. Good, Khadija. Positive. Anyone else? Anyone else who would like to take a try at this very quickly, but I'll respond, right? Because we have 4 statements together. Positive, right? Okay. Right? Right. Okay. Good. Now, it's a positive statement about why we can look at actual evidence. The word is shall, first of all, and we can look at actual evidence and see whether this is proven or disproven, right? Whether sales of electric cars have increased or decreased. Then second one, so positive. We are not looking for the positive statement, we are looking for normative. An increase in income shall decrease the sale of luxury goods. Again, positive, no, shall, and we can look at actual evidence and see whether the sale of luxury goods have increased or not when income has increased. Thirdly, the demand for laptop computers, not demand laptop computer, demand for, there's an error there. Demand for laptop computers shall increase as their prices fall. Right? Now, whether that is, don't look for whether the statement is correct or wrong. See whether we can prove it or disprove it. Right? Again, the word shall, and we can look at the actual evidence and see, okay, as the price of laptops fall, has the demand for laptops increased or decreased? We can prove or disprove. Positive statement. Number 4, the government should control the rent on housing charged by landlords. What is the word and what kind of a statement is this? What is the word?
Should.
Should. And what kind of a statement is this?
Normative statement.
Normative statement. Got it? So it's clearly a normative statement, Buddha. We are giving an opinion. We are telling the government do this. Right? Okay. Then number 5, the quantity demanded of a good is indirectly related to its price. Indirectly meaning when price increases, demand decreases. When price decreases, demand increases. Again, don't try to ask whether that is correct or incorrect from economic theory and all that. No. Can we prove or disprove? Yes, we can. We can look at the actual society, actual market, and look at a product and see when the price of that product increases, what happens to demand. We can simply look at it. So, but the correct answer is number 4. I'm sure you guys will agree with me. Make a note, just mark it. If you don't have the study material, then we'll agree for now. Correct answer is number 4. Okay. I don't want to use annotation. It will take time to then erase it and all that. Correct answer number 4. I think we are very confident there. Let's give it one more try. 2013 advanced levels, right? Which one of the following is a normative statement? Economists classify natural resources as renewable and non-renewable resources. It's an explanation of what we do in economics. And also, we can look at the economy and see whether we actually can categorize or have categorized natural resources as renewable and non-renewable. No, it's something we can look for. Actually, do we do it or not? Is there evidence for that? And it's an explanation of how we look at natural resources. So I'm going to say it's a positive statement. Hopefully you guys agree with me. Number 2, the environment is an example of a scarce resource. Environment is an example of a scarce resource. It's objective, no, but it's open for debate. No. Someone could argue no. Someone could argue yes. Anyone who argues no has to provide evidence. Anyone who argues yes has to provide any evidence. So it's objective. We can debate on it. We can prove it or disprove it. So number 2 is also a positive statement. Number 3, economies have limited means to satisfy unlimited wants. Again, a positive statement. Objective statement can be proven. We can look at an economy and look at the wants and see whether they are unlimited. We can look at the resources and realize they are limited. Right? Basically a positive statement. Number 4, the rate of inflation in Sri Lanka at present is single digit. Positive or normative? Rate of inflation in Sri Lanka at present is single digit. Positive or normative? Okay, some of you guys have said something. Right? Anyone else? Positive or normative? The rate of inflation in Sri Lanka at present is single digit. Now, again, the mistake that not you all, other students, not you guys, other students may do is they will think, no, inflation rate is very high. You know, you can go into a lot of things. That is not the point. Is the statement something we can prove or disprove? Is it an objective statement? Is it possible to argue with the statement? Is it something we can prove or disprove based on actual evidence? Can we look at actual evidence and say the statement is proven or disproven? We can look at the Census and Statistics Department website. They have something called the Colombo Consumer Price Index, National Consumer Price Index. Those are the things we use to measure inflation. We will learn unit number 7. You look at those and you can see whether the inflation rate is a single digit, meaning less than 10%, or double digit or triple digit. Actually, in Sri Lanka, the inflation rate is going to become triple digit very soon. Yes, very big issue that is. We'll talk about that. So it is a positive statement, proven, disproven, possible. Positive statement. 1, 2, 3, 4 are positive statements. If number 5 is not a normative statement, the question is wrong. We don't have wrong questions in the paper, right? An unequal distribution of income is unfair. What is the word? The word should is not there. The familiar word is not there. But what is the word that helps us figure out this is a subjective and a normative statement? What is the word? Very good. Yes, brilliant. See, that's why I called you guys intelligent from the very beginning. Unfair. Unfair is taking a side. It's an opinion, no? What is income distribution? If you ask a high income earner, that person will say very fair. And if you ask a low income earner, that person would say very unfair. That guy has much more income than 10 times income than me. It's unfair. But you get what I'm saying. So it's a very subjective thing, no, whether the income you get is fair or unfair is a subjective thing. And it's a normative. So the correct answer is number 5, right? Question 15, 2011, 2019, same question, right? The branch of economics that studies the decisions of individual households and firms is called. The sooner you answer, sooner we get to the end of the class. The branch of economics that studies, this is a past paper question. The branch of economics that studies the decisions of individual households and firms are called. Come on. I need all of you to answer, all of you to respond. Give me the correct answer number or the word. Individual households and firms is called. No, the sooner all of you answer, sooner we can finish the class. Go to the next question and then finish the class. Very quickly. I want responses. Right? Some of you are saying it's answer 2. Some of you are saying it's microeconomics. Answer 2 is microeconomics. Some of you are not responding. That is also not encouraging for me. Yes? Are we okay? Right. So individual, that single word is enough for us. No? So microeconomics. Yes, very good. Correct answer number 2. Correct answer number 2. So question 1, correct answer number 4. Question 13, correct answer number 4. Question 14, correct answer number 5. Question 15, correct answer number 2, microeconomics. Question 16, which of the following is a microeconomic statement? Which of the following is a microeconomic statement? The price of rubber declined by 10% last year. The first one itself is micro. Why? Quickly. First one itself is micro. Why? Because it's 10%. Is it? No, that's not why it is micro. Why is it micro? Very good. I'm going to take another try at this, Pata. Again, I apologize in advance if I mispronounce because I didn't hear you correctly earlier. Shira, is it?
Shira.
Shira, I'm really sorry about that. Right. Shira, brilliant answer. You're spot on. Okay. Right. So anyone else? Akhila, correct. Very good. Anyone else? At least a few more of you guys. Right. Let's finish on a high note. Right. Positive note rather. Madija, you are correct. Very good. Okay, right. So I'll take it for now. Right. Today it's a bit. Khadija, very correct. Yes, good. Today, for some reason, it's a bit difficult to get a response out of you guys. No, did something happen? No. Did my coordinator say something? No. Right. Okay. Anyway, the point is, Buddha, brilliant. Because we are only talking about one product, one market, or an individual product, that is rubber. So if you are only focused on one product, as all of you guys have said, right? Then the correct response is microeconomics, right? Correct answer is number 1. Next few statements very quickly. Unemployment is a macroeconomic concept. Gross domestic product is a macroeconomic concept. Total output of the entire economy. General price levels or inflation is a macroeconomic concept. And tax revenue of the government budget, we said no, tax revenue of the entire government is a macroeconomic concept. So the correct answer is number 1, question 16. So this is the exam standard. You guys can answer exam standard questions, which means we have learned what we need to learn in a comprehensive manner. Are we confident? Are we clear? I'm waiting for a response, hopefully, right? Yes? Excellent, right. That confidence you guys need to have. Okay? Right. Excellent, Buddha. So with that, let's conclude. Unless and otherwise, you guys have any questions or clarifications. So let me first stop the recorded version, and then I will be available for a few more minutes if you guys want to talk to me, clarify anything. And yeah, just give me a minute, Buddha. Give me a second. So let me conclude the recorded version.